It says this: in terms of gender, in all countries throughout the region, women enjoy the same legal, civic rights as men: free and universal education, healthcare, guaranteed employment, and subsidized vacations and housing, and comprise over 40% of the labor force. At the same time, however, women tended to dominate the low-skilled jobs and certain professions such as medicine and teaching, and on average earn less than men. Canada seems to be the innovative place where everyone strives to come to and disrupt with their knowledge and skills. Yet, as I learned in my 25 years living here, women are still not equal to men, and quality education is still not accessible to everyone. Not much different than my country, where its people have been oppressed for 45 years. When I came to Canada, in order to obtain employment, I was asked for Canadian experience. Every immigrant in this room understands when I say this. We come to Canada for opportunities, only to realize that we still need to prove ourselves. We have to work twice as hard for half the credit, and the good pay and opportunities are sometimes far and few in between for people like us. It's the quality education that we obtain that will make a big impact for us. How can a system such as this be disrupted so that we can see everyone get the opportunities they deserve? Let me tell you how I did it. I came to Canada when I was 19 years old. I was a hairdresser back then, but because I could not speak English, I had to go to school and learn it. Although I'm still learning it every day. Can you hear my accent? When I was finally good enough for the workforce, I was told that I did not have Canadian experience. So I went back to school to learn how to cut hair, how to cut and color hair in English this time. I needed a certificate from an accredited Canadian institution. While in school, I was one of the best students hairstylists since I had been working in the field for 2 years already back home. I finished my course in 6 months instead of 12 as it was recommended. Back in the workforce, I had to prove myself over and over. Hairdressing was not the field I wanted to end up in, but I got into it as it was my ticket to Canada. I always wanted to be a teacher or a lawyer. I have had a passion for education since early age. I always say that if being a student was a paid profession, I would work overtime because I love learning new things so much. I would work overtime because yes. I also love to teach what I know and pass on knowledge and experiences to the ones after me. I also believe that I got a passion for the law because of the injustice I have seen growing up, especially the injustice towards women and people who were different. And I was always asking questions about it. I wanted to do something, I did not know where to start. Anyways, back to my original story. I ended up working in the beauty industry for 10 years altogether. I never liked it, but it paid the bills. I had to work long hours, sometimes 12 hours a day to survive. I had to live with people whose perception of beauty was not that of the mine. However, that had taught me something. I learned that no matter where we are in life, we can do something about it if we decide to move forward. Yet that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. Perseverance and hard work are unbeatable. I aspire to get an education and become a teacher, but it seems that money and time, as well as one of the most important things that we sometimes overlook, and that's lack of information, was keeping me back. But all that stopped when I had my first daughter. I thought to myself that if I don't get to follow my dreams in this lifetime, at least my kids will get to have a better life than I did. And that comes with education. I looked at my then 8-month-old daughter and I realized that if I am to ever advise her to do big things with her life, I need to lead by example. So I started my journey to find my life's purpose. I found a childcare course that would open up my teaching opportunities. I wanted to try it out. As soon as I started it, I loved it immediately. I got hired working with kids before I finished my course. I loved the curious mind of the child, but while working in the field, I realized I did not like the parents. It's a terrible thing to say, I know, I'm a parent too, and I can only imagine what teachers are saying about me. Most of the kids that I have had the opportunity to educate were brought up in privileged environments, and their parents were never much part of their development. Yet the parents had these expectations that I would be working miracles on their children. While observing that, I realized that no matter what, these children would always have to open doors to them, even after they would move on from my classroom. The parents had enough money to pay others in order for their children to strive. It was hard for me to identify with that. I also noticed that while many children were brought up privileged, the ones that weren't or had some sort of behavior issues were dismissed or pointed at as though they were the problem and they interfere with all the other children that fit in the boxes created by our society today. I knew there wasn't much for me to do here, so I decided to venture out and learn more about inequality and injustice to women and children. So with that, after doing some major research, I enrolled in the Assaulted Women's and Children's Council Advocate. It's a mouthful, I know, it's AWCCA for short, a program at Georgetown College. This is the only social work program with a feminist perspective in Canada, possibly in the world. I knew that I had a lot to offer here. I knew that not only being a woman, but having had experiences of discrimination because I was a woman, an immigrant, I was a youth at risk of drug abuse and human trafficking, experienced poverty and homelessness twice at that point, as well as having to raise my younger sister as a foster parent, so she won't be taken away from me by children's services. I came in with a lot of youth experiences. However, the program has given me the right tools to speak about the injustice that people like me are experiencing. The funny thing is, the purpose that we all have and we're here in this life to achieve can come to us when we least expect it. And sometimes our journey is not always straightforward. I know that you are wondering how I got here and why I'm speaking about this. Bear with me, trust me, you'll be worth it. After I got my college education and 2 kids later, I myself experienced another life difficulty, and that is domestic violence. Here I was, a college-educated woman in the field of women's rights, becoming a woman that needed the help from someone like me who studied the field. Isn't that ironic? Here I am now, the woman that knows so much about the system and how it works, and I am now dependable on it. Being on welfare with 2 children, one of them still an infant, dealing with postpartum depression and having to depend on an abusive women's shelter for housing and food for my children was the lowest point in my life. I learned firsthand the theory I studied in college. It was a great practice. But about having to navigate the system for myself and as an abused mother. It wasn't easy. The system was supposed to save me, to take care of me, but it was very difficult. Many times, as I was being forced and having to talk to social workers about my situation, while doors were closing on me, I couldn't stop thinking how difficult it must be for someone who doesn't know the system at all, who doesn't speak the language in order to communicate their needs. I was privileged enough to have an education in this field, and it was still hard enough to navigate the system. Until one day, while having dinner, still in the shelter, holding my then almost 1-year-old on my lap, and my 6-year-old daughter sitting next to me said to me, "Mom, when I grow up, I want to be just like you." I looked at her and I was scared because how can I, a broken person, be a role model for her? I knew then it was time to change. It was time to go back to finding my purpose and become the person that not only I was meant to be, but the person that my daughters look up to, and be confident that they see someone I wanted to follow. Shortly, I found a place to stay that was ours. I found a job helping refugees who escaped violent circumstances establish themselves in Canada. After a few more jobs in the field, I stumbled across technology. I know you're dying to know how I got into the field of STEM for being a social worker. Well, let me tell you. While working in an organization helping youth and seniors from low-income communities, I decided to learn more about fundraising. I knew that funding was a big factor on the outcome we need to see in today's programs for the underserved communities. I read as much as I could on it. When talking to funders and potential donors, they were all asking me about the online presence of the organization. This was about 10 years ago, when technology was disrupting industries at large by way of the introduction of what is now known as social media. I realized that in the nonprofit sector, disruption can mean something much different than what in the real world does. Hence the importance of celebrating the small wins and and count that as disruption. Here's the good stuff I wrote you today. I kept on asking my supervisor then for permission to put up a website to clearly specify the services they provide and the impact they're making. I believe that the organization was changing lives, but no one would know that. My supervisor's answer was always, no, we don't need that. One day, one of my coworkers saw how I was really passionate about bringing something new to the organization, and he simply pulled me aside and said, Dorna, if you want to make a change, it is always better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission from someone who doesn't have the same vision as you do. That was fuel to my fire. I decided to learn as much as I could about web development. I taught myself how to code. I'm still a beginner, 10 years later. And I found resources to help me build a website. I also put together a Facebook page and a Twitter account for the organization. When I was done, I called back the funders and asked for the online presence. And next thing I know, they were approving funding and sponsoring projects who were collecting dust in the wish list of the organization. I then called my supervisor in the office and showed her what I had done. I started with the outcome, the funds that we received, and then showed her why the website and social media I created. She was stunned. She took it to the board and everyone must meet. That gave me confidence to know that I, a former hairdresser and a daycare and kindergarten teacher, can create something that can benefit a cause that I care for. After my contract was finished with this organization, I decided to change fields, because why not, and then to get into technology. Learning what I could do empowered me to take the leap into entrepreneurship. There was a lot to learn still, so I would attend many workshops to learn about WordPress, because what is a plugin? I didn't know. At that point, I was still a low-income earner, so I thought to myself, if I'm paying for this workshop, I need to walk away with enough information to pay my bills for the month. And so, when I didn't understand something, I would put my hand up and ask tons of questions. Sometimes I thought they may throw me out of the room because of how many questions I would ask. Nevertheless, while the sessions were still in progress, some of the women at the workshops would come to me and ask certain questions on their behalf. I was a little bit confused by that, because why would they ask me to ask that? I didn't even know what that was. I didn't understand the word. So I'm thinking to myself, I need to ask you to educate me on this word, and then I can ask the question, because at that point I'll probably understand what I'm saying, what I'm asking. So imagine me with my bad English and my lack of tech knowledge. I was very, very confused. So nevertheless, after the numerous workshops, I would connect with this woman and talk to them about why would they ask their own questions. I was overwhelmed by what they would tell me. Many of these women have been in technology business all of their career, and they mentioned how they were made to feel by female peers. When they would attend workshops and training. Imagine this with very different sessions, very different events, very different women with very similar concerns. Some of them have mentioned how they got comments such as, perhaps if you learn to be a better cook, you won't have to work here. Or, aren't you supposed to be home taking care of your children? Who's watching them now? This is when I decided to do more research on this, because it made no sense to me. I mean, I came to Canada for a better life, so I can escape all this, and I come here and I hear all the stories. And after I learned after I got my social work degree, I'm hearing this more and more. So I decided to do some research on STEM and women and the inequality that is happening. And I was really dumbfounded when I saw that 17 to 24% of women are in STEM. Less women of color and less number of women as decision makers in the field. The higher the ladder you go, the lower the number of women you find. For me, somehow technology was the tool that helped me, and having made my business at that time sustainable and got me out of poverty. I thought to myself that since there is all this talk of needing more women in STEM, especially diverse women in STEM, why can't someone build an organization, do something about this that can bring people who can really benefit from STEM education, so that we can close the gender gap while tackling the inclusion of the diverse population we host in our beautiful city, or even the country. I remember that while I was on welfare or working with people who were facing multiple barriers, STEM skills were needed, but they were never introduced to people like us. If it wasn't for my curiosity and ability to ask for forgiveness after the fact, I would have probably still be a social worker, a low-income social worker, but I saw something in this industry that can be life-changing for many people and for our economy. Think about it. You have low-income people that need jobs, yet they lack skills because they are too expensive. And on the other hand, we have an industry that is lacking women in diversity. I saw this as a solution to give women tools to empower themselves while becoming skilled workers and contributors to the society in a meaningful way. You know how when you have this great idea, and you always say someone should be doing this? That was me, holding this idea in my head for about a year and a half. Because imposter syndrome. Who am I to do this? I'm not a woman in STEM. Until one day, when I attended a conference where a panel of white men were discussing that if women want to get in STEM, they should just go ahead and be there. They made it sound as though it was that easy. I went to my mentor's office that day. I actually left the conference super early after that panel, and I went to my mentor's office. I was very angry, so I took the bag and I threw it in the couch, and I just started posting. So that was the first time when I told someone about my idea. Like, how do we provide skills to low-income and diverse women so that we can close the gender gap in STEM? He asked me, why am I not doing it? Because I'm not a woman in STEM, I said. Well, he said, by default, because you work in technology, you kind of are a woman in STEM, and because of this, you are a woman who understands barriers. Because of your past, you are a woman who understands barriers. So I don't see anyone more qualified in doing this but you. That gave me permission, in a way, so that I can develop an organization called Now for Revolution. No one believed that I could do it. I would attend events in order to meet people and learn new things about running a social business. I remember one time during the first year, I went to an event to meet this investor, and I approached him because his website said that his investment company is building the future by investing in it while making a difference in social businesses. Perfect match, I thought. When I approached him and I told him about Revolution and the work I want to do here, his response was, we don't invest in poor people. There's no ROI here. I was stunned, and he left me speechless. I thanked him and moved aside. I became angry again and decided to go home. I don't even remember how I got home. What I do remember is thinking that I need to prove to this man that poor people are worth the investment. So before the first year ended, I reached out to people to ask for help. I didn't have much money, and because I put my business on hold to focus on this new venture, I knew I needed to be resourceful. I spoke to whomever was willing to listen. I called and asked for help from people I never met and some others that I knew for a long time. At the end of the year, the first year of operations, in partnership with various companies such as Microsoft, People in Code, and Enable Education, I was able to execute 8 workshops. 1 workshop per week. Everybody thought I was insane. It was very hard to recruit students because no one has ever heard of us, but hearing the man's word, we don't invest in poor people because there is no ROI, kept on coming up, and it motivated me to make it happen that year. Also, the motivation came from students who benefited from these workshops. Kids would show up every week to learn. They would bring their friends and workshops too. One little girl in particular, who was raised by a single mother with addiction issues, was very excited about our workshop when I told her. I needed her mom's permission to attend, and she ran home to have her mom sign the form. She came back 15 minutes later, almost breathless, with the form and all excited that the next day she would attend her first ever STEM workshop. It was about robots. She then came back to my place after the workshop. She came back to my place to simply hang out. I have a lot of kids that come to my house who feel like it's a community center. My daughter loved to journal at that time, so I gave this young woman a notebook so that she can write in her new journal too. She was behind with her learning, and she had some difficulties writing her thoughts. and would get all frustrated and read off the pages that she wasn't satisfied with. After she went home, she left one of the pages behind, and my heart filled with joy when I read what she wrote. This was the best day of my life, and when I grew up, I want to build robots. Another time, after the third or fourth workshop, I became aware of lack of diversity firsthand when my then 4-year-old daughter said to me, "Mom, I'm really," because I forced her to come to this workshop. She had no choice. "I'm really enjoying the workshops here, but why do the teachers look like you and none of them look like me? Is it because people like me are not smart enough?" Then I realized that all that I knew about diversity and inclusion was from what I read, but it is a real issue and that it needs to be addressed. From that moment on, I made a conscious decision to ensure that diversity is represented in all programs we will have moving forward. We have had numerous other successes since then. Within 6 years in existence, almost. We work with Salesforce from year 1 to today. We will be funded by Ontario Tourism Foundation, partner with numerous elite organizations such as Mozilla and Public Library, and executed numerous seminars, programs, summer camps, and now executed the second Canadian Women in STEM conference. We have been supported by the Minister of Science for the effortless work we have put in to highlight the numerous Canadian women in STEM, partner with numerous companies to help deliver STEM programming, supported numerous new organizations and new Canadians with their integrations in Canada by providing a space where they can gain Canadian experience, assisted with job placements and volunteer opportunities, hired former students, and recently created summer jobs for students as well, helping not only the students who sign up for the programs, but the ones who help make it happen for them too. 6 years later, we became an award-winning organization, being awarded for being the top 75 STEM blogs in the world, awarded for the advancement of young women in STEM, and acknowledged by George Brown College for the work I do with Revolution to encourage girls and young women, especially those in underserved communities, to pursue careers in STEM, and to advocate for more inclusion within those industries. To be honest, I didn't even know they knew I existed. We ended up partnering with well over 30 organizations and companies to help deliver high-quality STEM education to the underserved communities. And this year alone, something I'm very proud of, we have given free programming to 70 kids in the GTA, where they also received a laptop to take home at the end of the program. That's almost double than last year, and we continue to grow each year. And the reason why we give a laptop is because 1 in 5 people in Ontario do not actually have a laptop to use at home. So hence why it prevents their learning. To me, that's disruption. Not bad for a young woman who grew up in the communist regime and came to Canada at a young age, a former hairdresser who dreamed of being a teacher or a lawyer, who somehow managed to create a job she absolutely loves and measures her success by the amount of long-term impact she helps make every day. See, disruption doesn't have to be measured by anyone but you. You get to decide how you want to disrupt the world. How do I disrupt it? Let me tell you again. I do it by giving opportunities to anyone interested in STEM education, despite their socioeconomic background. I bring forward role models to help inspire girls and young women to embrace STEM careers. I advocate for education as keeping independence to women, and I take on challenges that help me and help others discover their purpose. I hope my talk has inspired you to disrupt the world around you and notice every person for who they are, to recognize that everyone is unique, not only in who they are, but for their abilities to disrupt the world as well. How will you disrupt the world around you? Thank you. Now I'm open for questions if you have any. Yes.
Did you ever get to speak to that man? Yeah.
No, I've actually saw him a few events, and I decided that when I feel comfortable with my success, I will be able to just go and tell him. And I've always had, since I started the organization, I've actually had a lot of doors that were closed on me because nobody really wants to invest in poor people. And so I decided I'm just going to do this anyways. I'm going to work hard and I'm going to let my success speak for itself. And there's been many times when I would go, for example, to companies to help us with funding, and they say, no, we don't want to give you money because you're very small. So again, I did it anyways. We did a lot of programming with very limited funds. And now we come to the point where we have companies that will come to us and say, I would like to help you. And if there are companies that have said no in the beginning, usually just come and say, well, why would you like to help me now? Right? Why didn't you help me then? And then I'm becoming more picky about, terms and conditions by which I accept the help. Any other questions? Any other stories that you'd like me to tell you about Revolution? Yes. So what we do at Revolution, we run, since its inception, we run probably about 15 or 20 workshops. We've done summer programs, summer camps, we call it now summer programs. And we developed about 3 years ago, we developed a program that was a learning experience for us. To get more girls to learn more about technology and entrepreneurship and learn about financial planning and how to manage their money. I believe that working with the people that we work with, they need to understand more about how money works. That's the M in math. So since this year, we become more strategic. So we have summer programming. We have a 1-week camp or program. We had it in STEM with the lovely this special right here. So we've had some stuff from around space. We have things with technology, engineering. So we try to, what's the one I'm looking for? We try to introduce as many areas of STEM as possible to kids. And then we have a program that we created with in partnership with Shopify and Salesforce, Citrix, Check-off 51, Humber College. And hopefully we can get New York University to be part of this as well, where we teach young women the fundamentals of computer science. And we also have a conference every year where we started with, the conference started because last year, Canada turned, it was the 150 years anniversary. And it was very hard for me when I started the organization to go into outreach and go into communities where I go in outreach is usually in communities that nobody really wants to go, where they probably have 2 buses going per day. And we go there and I talk to them about STEM and the opportunities that are available. And a lot of times, a lot of the moms or the girls would ask me, is there anyone that looks like me that is in STEM? Is there anyone that has the same type of story like me that I can identify with that is in STEM? What are the opportunities in STEM? And to be honest, it was very hard for me to point at someone. It was very hard for me to do research to find Canadian women in STEM, and it was very hard to find. When you put women in STEM, even if you put Canadian women in STEM in Google, usually you get a lot of women from the United States. So I wanted to bring forward some of that awareness about what talent we have here. So we created this campaign, the Canadian Women in STEM for Canada 150, where it was crowdsourced. People would nominate women from across Canada, and we feature some leading women, and we have that list now. We have on our website. And because of that list, we've had people said, we see a lot of lists happening, but can we actually talk to some of these women? So we decided to create a conference last year, and the conference hosted 150 people last year and about 140 people this year. And when it was very fun work, we didn't really want to do it again, but people have said we want to see this, so we're going to do it every year. It's a great opportunity for the students that come to our program, so even other young women that are in high school, as well as college, university, they get to meet women in STEM and get to network, and some of them become mentees or mentors in the room at the conference. Any other questions? Yes.
How old are the students that you currently work with?
I believe in the younger age education. So It's grade 1 to junior high school. I think that gives them a great opportunity to learn. There's no such thing as, oh, I made a mistake, or if I invested so much money in college, now I actually don't like this. It's a great opportunity for them to try it out. So it's grade 1 to junior high school. Yes.
Parents as well, for, I understand what you're doing, you do a lot of training, you understand all of them. You have to make competitions, you have girls who win those competitions, they're very good, grade 7, 8, 9, then they get to grade 11 and 12, and let's say girls goes to, decide to go into another field. And you're like, this is, I don't think they understand what we're doing with that. Eventually, it could be a career. And you talk with training, but I wonder, are women more accepted in the field and start working? I know you have mentors, so that definitely will help. But do they still find like how hard you have to get up on the ladder like you're talking about, or has it anything changed on your knowledge?
Actually, in computer science alone, the last 20 years, we're going backward numbers instead of going, still having more women in computer science. So we're actually going, the engineering is one of the areas where women seems to not go there for whatever reason. So to be honest, for us, what we do for the STEMing Up program, which is one long-term program that we developed it this year, we get the parents involved so that the parents will help and motivate and encourage the girls to finish the program. It's a 2-year program that they have to attend. And we pair them with mentors so that they can have that opportunity of more of an open door to help them, to guide them into how to get into the field and how to stay there. Typically, we have a lot of stories, we share stories that are very honest, but yes, it could be hard, but this is how I did it. So we bring a lot of women that can talk on that, and this is how I did it, so that the young women need to have examples. But I also hear from a lot of women that are, for example, they're getting their PhDs and say, I'm in this field now, and I feel like I don't have enough support. Hopefully, I'm hoping that maybe another organization could take this on and help them. But because my goal is in the next 4 years, revolution doesn't need to exist, so that we don't have this issue anymore. But yeah, we do need to have more support for women that are in the field. And I think personally, coming from a feminist perspective, because it happens in a lot of industries, it's not just them, we need to help and support each other more. When we are entering the field, let's just turn around and just help the women that just started, or ask for help, get a mentor. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So thank you. Oh, what I wanted to do is, if you are interested, I would like to take a group picture. So do you want to come here so we can take a picture together?